organizations that are doing that right now and save. I mean, like you said, he's...
Speaking on taking care of yourself, there's certain...
Sorry, before you go on. Exercise. Too, because you know when you tell people to take care of themselves, they think you tell them to exercise, they think you're calling them fat. It's not about fat. There are people that you call fat that are very fit, like they are very fit, like, and there are people you think because I'm slim, I don't care, but you're not fit. Okay. You know, so try to exercise, take long walks, watch what you eat, take fruits. You know, I wish I could just go on and on, but if please go ahead.
Yeah, so another thing when it comes to taking care of yourself, there's certain diseases or illnesses that you'll be diagnosed of that you know that, okay, I need to stop certain things like strenuous activities. And this guy said that because he was scared that his wife was going to leave him while he was diagnosed with stroke, he was still having constant sex because he was afraid.
Who said that?
This Ernest Azuzu that was having constant sex because he didn't want his wife to leave him. Yeah. It's understandable because a lot of women, the moment they're not getting what they want or what they're used to, obviously they can leave you or start cheating and all of that. But would you put your life at risk because you're trying to satisfy somebody else?
I don't know why this is that part of the story, but it's absolutely weird, and I don't know if that is a wife. I don't understand why
your man is sick and then your
priority is that sex. When I mean there could be other ways to help yourself out if people can just be open-minded, but that's not the topic of conversation.
Yes,
the topic of I'm just saying if that is the case,
long time ago.
Yeah. If that's the case, then it is absolutely wrong. Long time ago, some of the things we did 10 years ago or 5 years ago could still affect our health tomorrow. So we need to be careful. So if that's the case, then it's absolutely sad, and I don't think that's not the idea of what I see as a life partner. And I feel like we can all do better.
And then secondly, if it's a case of you getting back on your feet, then sorry, no disrespect to anyone, nobody owes you anything, because if you're fine now, we don't know the people who contributed to you.
Yeah, but we can be our brother's keeper as well.
Exactly. I hate that nobody owes you anything.
No, I agree. Nobody owes you anything, but we can be our brother's keeper. I mean, if you have anything, I'm sure if you go on social media, you'll be able to find a way to
if you're fine now, you're still good looking, you still have your fresh haircut.
No, sickness is not about you're looking good or you're not looking good.
Go for casting. Go for auditions. Get new movie roles.
It's not that easy.
You think?
I don't think so. I think it's not that easy for you to just bounce up from an illness, and you don't know how bad the illness affected him just from a few seconds of the video.
And there are also limited role for his body size right
exactly.
now. So
did you see how he even look?
I'm sorry. I mean, we had Bola on the show, and he talked about how he had to actually discipline himself to maintain the body that is selling right now, because that's the business you're in.
Ernest Azuzu never had Bola in all of us.
Which is why I said the role that will accommodate his size of body is limited.
Well,
so he should work on himself.
We have grandfathers, we have fathers, we have...
Is that how your grandfather looks like?
It's not that easy.
Okay, we need to move on though, but I wish him luck, and please
work hard as well.
If you can help him, please reach out and help him. He needs our help right now. Let's just be our brother's keeper regardless. We make mistakes as well. Okay, so South African rapper AKA speaks on Burna Boy not winning the Grammy Award. He says he doesn't hate him and that all he did was to stand up for his country. He went on to say that being nominated for the Grammys is a huge achievement and Burna Boy is still a champion. That's a good one coming from him. I think he's finally.
I hope that they even just settle their feud, because they were actually kind of close.
Well, he is saying there's no feud, and that he was just standing up for his country. Yeah, so.
And I think I totally agree, because when you talk about standing up for your country, I think Nigerians are quick to bash anybody that wants to even say anything negative about Nigeria. Like the moment you even talk, they'll dig into your country and say you people.
But this is a different case.
You were
clearly seeing what was going on. It wasn't like Nigerians are reporting it. Your media was reporting what was going on.
South Africa kind
of. So it's just like God forbid, I say my sister kills someone, and then I say, oh, I'm standing by her because she's my sister, and then the family that is trying to get justice don't know what they're doing and all that. I mean, there are two different things.
It was not a case of Nigeria versus Ghana where we are doing bands, where we are doing Nigeria.
It was about human lives.
And then we can. It was about people dying in South Africa.
I like what AK has done, because at the end of the day, he's showing that there's no bad blood and it just wants to move. He wants to rise above all the madness that happened last year, and just realize that, okay, yeah, I mean, I've been wrong in some ways, but it was for my country. He may not have done it the right way. He may not have done it the right way, but it was his own way of standing up for his country or getting his people to like it.
I understand.
And then we all say that Burna Boy is still a champ regardless, especially when, I don't know why we never spoke about the lady who said she didn't want Burna Boy.
Because that's irrelevant, so can we move on?
No, why do you think it's irrelevant?
Why would you wish someone not to win? Because you think if the person wins, then the person would not be able to be disciplined and all that. I mean, he's been working so hard for this, and if he got it, we're already talking about what I don't want to talk about, so let's just forget it.
Okay.
Do you want to add something before we go?
No, not really. I'm just wondering if Burna Boy ever apologized to AK, because he really said like a lot of stuff to AK.
Did AK ever apologize to Burna Boy?
I think he did, didn't he?
No, never.
So they just resolved their feud.
We don't know even.
That's how stars do, you know.
Oh, okay.
So before we go on this quick break, this is still the month of January, and you cannot forget how you promised yourself to save more this year. So saving is one of the ways you can make 2020 your best year so far. Don't let go of that promise. My Kolo offers you so much opportunity to work on your financial stability and independence. Give yourself a chance. Start saving today. Get a Kolo by visiting the My Kolo page on Instagram. That's at mykolo.ng. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
We are not yet at a point where a lawyer like Fashola should be the Minister of Housing. We are not there yet.
But what about the social implications that are much more than an architect?
Even if we get a 3-digit number, will our computers work?
There is no hope. Let's not deceive ourselves.
But doesn't mean that there isn't hope, because I believe so that there is hope.
Oh, you must be with one woman. You must be with, these are Igbo ways. African
as your wife is in on it, we have no problem.
Different.
We have that value system that we got from our royal days and everything. That gives us a sense of identity.
My question is, who is the we?
Which part?
That's going to allow for an Igbo presidency in 2023? Because I mean, it is not you and I.
If we want to have the last presidency based on rotation,
yes, then
we better just go to the Southeast, finish with him, and then say the post is now open.
Mona Lisa is all about me. It's all about you. It's all about our stories. The stories that never get told, but ought to.
Whereby water transportation does not make financial sense, it makes economic sense.
I was there for 2.5 hours on the floor. Nobody attended to me.
If we don't take care of the poor will take care of us.
It's about getting at the root of things and hearing from the horse's mouth.
We have 15 public hospitals to make them affordable.
In the whole of Africa, we are bigger. You know, Nigeria, we sleep, eat, dream, fashion.
Those with the financial backing don't see fashion as an investment, which makes no sense.
If they do it for free, they won't have money for the next case.
Mona Lisa is about real life and real lives, yours and mine. Make a date with Mona Lisa, and together, let's ensure that the important stories get told.
Thank you for staying with us. This is still Tea Time on Plus TV Africa. Miley Cyrus suggests she's not invited, or she was not invited to 2020 Grammys because of her love for cannabis. She hinted in an Instagram post that the 62nd Grammy Award, which was attended by her father, Billy Ray Cyrus, and her sister, Noah Cyrus, may not have invited her due to her 2013 display of love for cannabis at the MTV Europe Music Awards. She shared a clip of her smoking a joint on stage at the event and wrote in the caption, "And we wonder why I'm not invited to award shows anymore."
I love Miley Cyrus so much. I love her so much. One of the reasons why I like her is because she's wild and she's not apologetic
about it.
She's not apologetic about it. She's not the kind of person that will be like, oh, okay, well, I do this, so I'm feeling ashamed about, like even when she even came out, because she had that bangers era when she was swinging on, everybody knows that Miley Cyrus era. And I like the fact that even when she came out from that period, she did not look down on who she was then. She still speaks highly of herself, even during that period, even though that was like a kind of like low time for her. A lot of people blackballed her then. In fact, she was always in the news. People were always saying, why is Miley Cyrus so wild? Kiniko.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
what's Kiniko?
They were always saying so many things about, Miley Cyrus, and she was always in the news. And now I feel like she has kind of like, come back from that, from who she was, and now she's just like getting into herself. I don't know why she was not invited.
I think she's just living. I think she's just being.
Yeah, she's just being herself, and that's what I like. The fact that she always chooses herself in every situation, because she was still in the news because of Liam and all of that, but she always chooses herself in every situation, and that's why I really love her.
Why are you looking like?
Why are you looking like
what's
that?
going on?
No, I was listening to what she was saying.
Okay, so what do you think about what she said?
About what she said? No, I'm not thinking about what she said.
Okay, what do you think about Miley Cyrus?
So, on this story, I think Miley is a great personality. I love her personality for who she's always been. She's always been herself regardless. And she's one of those people that I don't want them to change, because the transition from being Hannah Montana to the Miley Cyrus we see today is... it's a lot of growth, even though some people may say it's in a negative light, but it's selling. It's a selling point, and I think the moment she goes back to that Hannah Montana, she probably won't be making so much money. She probably won't be making so much headlines anymore. Do you understand? So you need to know what works for you. It's like saying that Tiwa Savage now should move from the Kili Love era to who can I call now, to a Simi kind of vibe. Do you understand? Obviously, she won't sell as much record as because that was what brought her out, and that's what has been working for her. So I love the fact that if a love for cannabis, especially when it's legal in a lot of states in America right now, so I don't think that's even a reason. I think she's just being a crazy self.
But what if it is? I mean, she's the one wearing the shoes, and she says she's not been getting this invite. She wasn't even talking of Grammy.
Yeah, she does a lot of.
So don't you think that's big? If that's the not just this one.
No, not just this one. She does a lot of crazy stuff.
She does a lot of crazy stuff during award.
Do you understand? Anytime she's supposed to present something, or she's supposed to say something, she does something dramatic.
Something that will make you talk about her.
Yeah, and
then the award show.
And then most of these people, they also have. We should never forget that they also have their mission statement. They have their values, and they have things that they want to stick to.
Oh, you mean the awards?
Yeah, the award organizers. So the moment you're stepping out of bound, and they give you the first warning, and then you did it in this one, you did it in that one, you did it in this. Obviously, they'll be like, before she bring her drama, please let her just stay at home. Do you understand? So it's normal.
If you even watch the video that she's talking about that she posted, you would just laugh because it was just so crazy. She was like,
and then I went to the comment section after she posted this, and a lot of people were saying, please don't change. They don't deserve you. You need to be you. You need to be. So.
That they don't deserve.
Yeah, but a lot of people judged her then.
We don't deserve you. Like, what does that even mean?
A lot of people actually judged her in 2020 and 2013 when she was doing all of these things. But now, like
and then you need to understand that
the times have changed. People are more
Miley
accepting.
is still very young, and she's still growing up. So I see all these things as juvenile delinquency, and with time she will outgrow all of these things, and she'll be.
Is she that young?
She's no longer that young. She's 20 something. Like
yeah,
she's close to 30.
She's still young. She's still young.
No, I feel like she has actually even outgrown those things, because that was a bangers era. Her latest music, she's. Really,
I like how you
mellow.
two are calling it outgrowing, and I just see it as she living her life the way it works for her at any given point.
Yeah.
So for her to bring this back and put it out without even trying to judge herself or trying to say, I think I feel sorry. She doesn't feel sorry about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's very
just having fun. Just having fun. So keep having fun, girl, and live your life.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Live your life.
Tony Lawani claims John Legend's fashion designer stole her design. I think she keep on singing that song as I'm. Okay, let's just have so that's the picture on screen. And so I was going to say, oh, this is for female and this is for male. It's different.
No,
but I saw the one on Teddy A, and it's still different. is not exactly what John Legend is wearing. His own even had, he had like a belt, and it looked closer to what the ladies were wearing. So you understand that this was the design.
No, she didn't know. There's a white one she did for Teddy, I think. And
it was exactly the same as what
exactly.
I couldn't find that one.
So that's the thing about, you know, when you're in the creative industry. For example, there was this issue with this girl, Tomi Adeyemi, the Children of Blood and Bones girl, where she was accusing Nora Roberts of having the same name with her, and Nora Roberts actually released her own book way before you know, Tomi Adeyemi. So when it comes to like when you're a creative person, I feel like
she said she designed this 2 years ago.
2 years ago. It's just like Nora Roberts should come and accuse Tomi Adeyemi of taking her name. It's just that when you are, exactly like you said, there's nothing new under the sun. The person might not have seen Toyin Lawani's work. It might not be a case of copying the work.
She said they are watching us. Praise up yourself. They're checking out all we're doing and blah, 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 blah.
This is the power of packaging. Now, this is something that I've always wanted to tell people. Yes, you have a solid brand, but you need to package yourself. Now, the person who styled John Legend was Alexander McQueen. Do you understand? Now, you are Tiana's Empire. You're big in Nigeria. I don't know, maybe some parts of Africa. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if this goes to court, because of how Alexander McQueen has packaged himself, the caliber of people he has worked with, and worked for, everybody will go with.
I beg to differ. First and foremost, this cannot even go to court because the resemblance, there's a difference. There's a lot of difference. That's one. And secondly,
they look exactly the same.
I would also not say Tiana Empire has not packaged herself. I think that woman should be given a lot of accolades because she works really hard. Hold on, she works really hard, and her styling. I mean, there was a day I was looking at the works she has done, and I told myself, this lady, regardless of the drama she creates and all that, she actually knows what she's doing. When you see a person styled by Tiana, you can begin to tell that this is Tiana. You know, I think she knows what she's doing. She's working hard, and maybe this was just to get people to talk about her, and we are talking about her already.
Or maybe for John
I feel like she knows what she's doing.
Notice her and maybe ask her to style him.
I mean, and she's styling most of the celebrities in Nigeria, the big names, socialites. She's doing a whole lot of things for herself. She had the whole reality show. I don't know if that's still on. I mean, she's working. She's really packaging. So
I think I'm being
looking at the people,
context,
at the people that you have worked with, and the people. I mean, I don't think the word you're looking for is packaging. Basically.
Yeah, that's why I said I feel like I'm being taken out of context. I'm just trying to say that once a brand is bigger, people tend to look at that person as the creator of a certain thing.
Yeah, when they get to court, it doesn't work like that.
No, I don't even think it's going to get to court. Even when you read her post, you know that she was just saying, that Nigerians should know that people are looking at them, that they should.
But that's the truth.
That's just what she was trying to say.
We're being watched as celebrities.
And I can't even rule out the fact that there's a possibility that this man or whoever designed this for the brand might have seen it and was inspired in one way or the other. So,
do you know there are some inspirations that you just get from a subliminal point of view? You've seen it, but you don't even remember that this was where I got it from, and you just do something similar. So, but I know we're out of time, so.
Yeah, well done, Tiana Empire. And that's how I wrap up this episode of Tea Time. Thank you for watching. And remember, you can catch up on this episode and all our exclusive content by visiting and subscribing to our YouTube channel, Plus TV Africa. You can also watch Tea Time on R2 TV and in London on Ben Television. My thank you, as always, go to my co-anchors, Nimi Dekombi and Ifeoluwa Osunkeye, and the entire production team. Thank you for watching Plus TV Africa's Tea Time. My name is Elsie Godwin. Stay with us.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
welcome to Plus Trending. I am Vicky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways.
I feel with technology, there's so much and there's nowhere we cannot go to.
One of the biggest problems we have today are people not adhering to planning and also particularly building control.
I believe that I don't need more than a 3-bedroom apartment. But people still believe that I must own a mansion that shows that yes, I'm wealthy and all of that.
We need to be realistic and understand that we need to live in smaller and smaller spaces.
Most of the tradesmen you have are like apprentices. So they don't learn the proper ways to do things or even improve themselves to new technology, newer products, newer materials.
Why does everybody have to have an AC? Can you afford an AC? If you can't afford it, you don't need it. You have a window here, the air will pass.
So if you had one big challenge in architecture in Nigeria, what would that be?
Millennials are all in a hurry and millennials are very entitled.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. No question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild.
This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
There are angry reactions over news that teen Christian female captive of Boko Haram, Leah Sharibu, has given birth to a baby. And President Muhammadu Buhari, in reaction to repeated attacks by bandits in Niger State and its environs, has directed the Nigerian Air Force to deploy its fighter aircraft to check the menace. This is Plus Politics, and I am Felicity Ezewike. You're welcome. There are various reactions from Nigerians and the Christian community over the news that teen Christian female captive of Boko Haram, Leah Sharibu, who has been in captivity for almost 3 years, has given birth to a child for one of her captors. She was 14 at the time of her capture and the only remaining Dapchi schoolgirl from the over 100 abducted girls still being held hostage. Her father is not interested in what he describes as rumors. All he wants is to see his daughter returned alive. Is there hope that this will indeed happen? Joining us for a conversation on this are two public affairs analysts. We start with Jide Benson. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, we have Leonard Ebute, public affairs analyst as well. Pleasure to have your company tonight.
Great to be with you, Felicity.
All right. The rumors seems to have gotten credence from the fact that journalist Ahmed Sakeda, who over the years has shown to have some connection with the Boko Haram group, is confirming that she indeed had a baby. What is your reaction? Let me start with you, Jide.
Well, there's no smoke without fire. And if, as you say, he has a history with Boko Haram and more than 50% of what he has always reported has turned out to be true, there's no reason why we should discountenance this one. So I'm one of those who believe that such a fate has befallen her.
Leah Sharibu, yes. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm happy. I'm pleased to hear she's alive. First of all, that she's pregnant, right or wrong, is indication that there's some proof of life. And I think right now, rather than worry so much about, I'm sure giving birth to a baby will be the list of the turmoil she must have gone through. Rather than dwell on the possible rumor or the wise of our current reality, we need to focus more on trying to get her out of captivity, trying to really ascertain her well-being and pray that she rejoins her family. I mean, I'm really, really happy to hear anything that is proof of life as it relates to that young lady.
Okay, this did not just happen today. It's been like 2-3 days or thereabout that the news broke. The federal government is yet to react. Is it that they have a different intel than what we have? Because ideally, by now, we would have had a reaction from the government. This is almost the close of work on a Monday. We've had reactions from Khan in her area, and they're asking the president to investigate. Do you see that happening or any reaction from the government?
I mean, what investigation would the government be doing to ascertain that she's pregnant?
That she indeed has a child.
Yeah, I mean, the government has fallen short of expectations. If anything, by now that girl should not be there. If the government had deployed everything possible, the girl would not be in this sorry situation that she is now. She may have been a victim of what you call Stockholm syndrome, falling in love with her abductors. And because the news also says that she's accepted Islam, which is the very reason why she was held in captivity in the first place, because she refused to accept Islam. And so having spent 2 years with her captors, they probably have fed her, they've played with her, she had gotten used to them, and what became drop her guard. So it's possible that she wasn't even raped. That's also what I mean. The federal government not saying anything, it's some form of admission of guilt. I think that we allowed this to slide away, and we're talking about this now only because of the news that we have heard. I mean, in the next few days we'll begin to talk about something else, and then Leah Sharibu is no longer on the top of the news.
Staying with something you said about her accepting Islam, yes. There is a contrary opinion actually. This Ahmed Sakeda also spoke with one Reverend Joe Billy, who is the president of Church of the Brethren. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he has granted a press statement where he said he had a conversation with him, and what he said was that I couldn't absorb the shock because Leah Sharibu had become a symbol. That's what I want to draw your attention to. A symbol of the Christian faith. He went on to say, I consider her Christian faith stronger than even that of many church leaders. My question is, has she really become a symbol of the Christian faith, considering that she's just a young girl who at the time of her abduction was just looking for education?
Okay, so a few things to note here. While I celebrate any news of her well-being in any form or shape, we have to make a few things clear. She is a captive. There is no kind of analysis that can paint any picture of love, of joy, and to the extent that she is in captivity because she rejected the situation she was in, is proof enough for me. I think while journalism is typically ahead of intelligence, not just in Nigeria but everywhere in the world, it is poor reportage to bring up issues around faith, particularly the sensitivity of issues like that around Nigeria. I think it was an unnecessary part of the reportage. I think it didn't make sense. We're all worried only for the little girl's safety. And to talk of our acceptance of the reason for her captivity in the first place is really, really poor reportage. That's poor journalism. I think it's insensitive journalism.
But you have to, what the job of reporting is to report what has happened, not to garnish it in any way. The reportage was that she was held back because of her faith. And that has, snowballed into her becoming some sort of symbol. Like this reverend is saying that he was shocked that he had to ask again and again.
And that's why I query the logic of it, because she is still held. If she was held for her faith and she is still held, the rule of logic is that she has still held to her faith. That's the rule of logic. So she has not been released. So the logic is very clear to me. If we agree that she's held for her faith and she's still in captivity, then we must allow the logic flow through.
That means you follow the school of thought that she is now a symbol of the Christian faith in Nigeria as it is.
I follow the school of thought that this is hardly a Christian-Muslim issue. She's a symbol of the height of insecurity in this country. She is a reason for the government to know that we are citizens, first of all, not Christians or Muslims, and that they owe us citizenship responsibilities that has absolutely nothing to do with faith. And so the less Christian or Muslim we go about this, the closer we are to the reality of the situation we are in, and the closer we are to the remedial actions we need to take.
What's your take on that?
That she's a symbol?
Symbol of the Christian faith. Because it seems to be that most times when news of her comes up, the Christian Association of various states will come up with a statement, about her being, and then you see social media. Some people have actually galvanized conversation around this issue, and I don't know whether they're idolizing her resistance, as we know, or something else.
So my thoughts would have been that the Christian Association of Nigeria in her state and maybe that region of the country should have made her more a topical issue. If she were truly the symbol, as they would like to make us believe, maybe her picture should have been at the entrance of every church in her community and in the entire state. Like I said, Leah Sharibu, on the strength of what happened to Leah Sharibu, some people may have lost elections, whether her representative in the House of Assembly or the House of Representatives, or even the senator representing her constituency. We haven't been fair to her, we haven't been fair to her generation, we haven't been fair to the feminine gender, and the president has not given action to his word that everything will be done to get her back. And as I said, she probably had gotten comfortable with her abductors. And to buttress his point, truly, if she's actually converted to Islam, I don't think she'll be in captivity anymore, because if she has accepted what they're asking her to do, then they'll let her go. Except, of course, they fear that when she leaves, she would renounce the faith again.
Okay, I was going to follow that up, but let me just leave that for now and move on with other parts of the conversation. And I would like to talk about her father's reaction. Various newspapers, as usual, wanted to be the first to get a reaction from the father. And the man was a bit exasperated. He was like, "Why are you bugging me? All I want is my daughter back alive. I don't care what condition it is." And the spokesperson, one doctor, pulled from a university up north that speaks on behalf of the family is also saying that these are all mere rumors. They don't care what condition she is in. All they want is her back with her family. What do you make of the reaction, especially in the light of, Christian Association speaking, social media commentators speaking, every other person talking?
That's exactly what the entire nation should want. That's exactly what the reportage should have been about. So to raise any other side issues different from the welfare of Leah is merely patronizing her situation. Whether it is coming from the Christian Association, she did not set out on a journey to martyrdom. She wasn't a missionary, as it were. She was just a child that went to school, got abducted. The story around her standing for her faith is still unverified. Even though I believe it, I'm a Christian and I want to believe it, and I'm a person of faith, right? But that is irrelevant to the fact that she's in a situation she did not set out to be in by virtue of that faith. She just happens to be a victim of a society that is grossly lacking in terms of the real issues around protection and value of human life. And so the discourse should be about the safety of Leah. What the family wants should be what the nation wants. It should be all the nation and everybody wants. And to bring any other issue different from this is actually, to me, crass insensitivity. If you have lost someone before or been in a position of near loss, you will understand that it does not matter to you whether the person you love comes broken, if they come at all.
What's your take on the silence of government so far? Do you expect them to have a reaction? Or like I asked earlier, do they have some sort of intel that we don't have as at this point?
What I've come to see the government as is one that is not confronting the reality of its failure. They're thinking of what to say. Maybe that's why it is delayed. I mean, almost every news medium has reported this in the last, 48 hours when the news broke. So they're thinking of it. They're thinking of a very tactical way to respond to it. We've come to a situation whereby when the spokespersons of the government speak, you can tell that they're speaking from their lips. They're not speaking from their hearts. They're speaking to retain their jobs, to protect their principle, to look good in the eyes of the public. But we're in a situation where the people that they're speaking to know that they're telling half-truths. They know that they're telling half-truths, and they know that the people that they're speaking to also know that they're telling half-truths. So it's a back and forth of
So
half-truths.
what does that make of us? Let's not just talk about the government.
Yes.
It seems that the narrative around Leah Sharibu has, been reduced to religious issues, other than, like you highlighted, have we failed collectively when it comes to the case of Leah?
Yes,
and how can we, sort of redeem ourselves? It's almost 3 years. Let me bring that question to you.
So when you generalize, reactions, then you seem to bury good intentions in the average. Okay, so most times the really strong voices of reason are really silent ones. They are not loud enough to see. So when we say, have we failed? I do not think we have all failed. A lot of people invested their prayers, invested their time, protests here and there. Some left their jobs to pursue Leah Sharibu's cause, and they saw Leah Sharibu as a representative of every other person who, by virtue of societal failures, have been victims.
But you will agree
like
that most times the
Yes.
conversation around Leah Sharibu hits the media when a topical situation occurs. Maybe it's her birthday or the anniversary of the number of days she's been in captivity, or like now that she has had a baby. What about sustained effort? Because if you're talking about the narrative in the media, how the media, yes, we have our responsibility, but there doesn't seem to be a sustained reaction when it comes to, push advocacy for her release.
That would do no justice to people who may not be in the media, may not be in the intelligence community, but have followed this story, have made it their life's missions. And there are quite a number of them that we could point out. Like a reporter you talked about, he's been trying to follow the whole Boko Haram story. He's made a career out of it. And so when we paint that umbrella picture, we miss out a few group of well-intentioned people, including my humble self. I may not have done much in the open media in terms of pursuing this, but I've been a victim myself of insecurity firsthand. I've had to deal with it in my own way. And so I kind of understand that there are quite enough, like the family and all that, they only come on stage when you put them on stage. But I tell you, every single night, in their dreams, in their efforts, their involvement is, you can call it guaranteed. And above all, the communities from which that are primary targets of these kinds of issues, right? They sleep and live this reality on a daily basis. For them, it's much bigger than Leah Sharibu. So Leah Sharibu is just an outlet for others to lend a voice to a discussion that is the everyday reality of a wide group of people in Borno State and northern Nigeria.
Will this girl ever get released, do you think? Or will she continue to remain the idolized version that she's now being made of?
Never say never. And at the same time, I think we should moderate our hope. I mean, if we follow what happened in, I think it was in Adamawa State last week, the pastor that was arrested, that was abducted,
Killed.
and they were just trying to make arrangements to get the ransom paid so that he be released, and eventually they still went ahead to kill him. So we don't know the mind of the terrorists. We don't know if they have a heart or a conscience. So, but one hopes that the government will not allow it to degenerate into that. Because, I mean, there are instances in other climes where one life has held the whole nation's attention. This is what Leah Sharibu should have represented. I mean, Nigeria is a multi-religious state, so everybody has a freedom to practice their religion as they deem fit. So somebody being held on account of faith is not something that any government should tolerate. Yes, we're all culpable. We're all responsible for having carried on with our respective lives, in spite of one of us being held hostage. But the culpability rests primarily with the government, because the security of lives and property is the primary responsibility of the government.
I must say thank you very much, gentlemen, for your thoughts so far. Thank you for coming on the program. All right, we'll take a short break now, and when we return, the conversation will be about the president's order to deploy fighter jets to wipe out a bandit. Still on security. Stay with us.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dollar, everybody feeling alright.
Make music and people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi, like,
sleeping early.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in reaction to repeated attacks by bandits in Niger State and its environs, has directed the Nigerian Air Force to deploy its fighter jets to check the menace. A statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu in Abuja on Sunday, quoted the president as describing the repeated attacks, which led to the loss of several lives in the affected communities, as a disaster for the nation. The deployment of air power is to support troops and policemen deployed to the difficult terrain to counter the menace of the attackers operating in the forest area bordering Kaduna, Niger, and Zamfara states. Will this be of any help? My guests are here from the last session. We still have Leonard Ebute. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And then we have Barrister Josephine. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
coming
for having
in.
me.
All right. The question is this a little or a lot too late? Let me start with you.
Well, it's a welcome development. We can't say it's a little too late, because at least he's responding to the cries of Nigerians now, and he's doing something.
Okay. Your thoughts?
Well, any form of assistance in terms of security is better than the subsisting situation. I mean, so is it enough? That's a different question to ask. Is it something good? Is it a step in the right direction? Yes. I mean, this is a country that the security apparatus is overwhelmed. There are 600,000 policemen in Nigeria. Nigeria is 92 million hectares of land. That is like one policeman to 154 hectares of land, or one policeman to 350 people. That's the ratio. So we are grossly underpoliced. Therefore, every form of internal conflict, the army has to support. Now the entire armed forces is maybe what, 200,000-300,000? So the ratio of security personnel to landmass and to population is way below the global standard. And so it makes sense, therefore, that the army, the armed forces must be called into internal conflict to support the activities of the police.
But is this a good thing, really, considering the fact that these people are not supposed to be having, from what we know from the Constitution, having this consistent interaction with the civilian population?
Yeah, so right now you cannot describe insecurity in any shape or form, particularly the manner of insecurity happening here is closer to insurgents. It's actually, the lawyer is here, she's probably going to clarify that more. This is not just banditry and stealing. These are people that are taking territory. These are people that are in a sense, colonizing national resources like gold and so on in those areas. So in that sense, it becomes a little bit different from a rare policing issue. Yeah, so there is a pseudo war happening in that terrain. And when you also look at the level of equipment that these people bring to the theater of war, then you do realize that perhaps this is just a little bit outside of the scope of the Nigerian police. Yes. This could not have been the intention of the lawmakers when they were creating that job description between the police and the armed forces.
Okay, the president, there's always this statement issued when disaster happens. A lot of persons says it's protocol, is something that needs to be done, and this time around is describing it as a disaster for the nation, especially for the affected communities. What more, aside this kind of rhetoric, do you think should be occupying the presidency's attention at this time, instead of statements issued sympathizing with the reality and this deployment? Wouldn't it be a bit more intense and appreciated if there are other reactions? And when I mean other reaction, that's left to you.
Well, I think the president has not actually done what he's supposed to do with regards to this curbing the insurgency as he's supposed to have done. It has, I think I remember the quotation from the daughter of late General Abacha, who says that if insurgency persists for a period of time, it's because of the failure of government. You understand what I'm trying to say? That if it has been handled decisively, without any form of sentiment whatsoever. To a degree, it would have discouraged the act of the terrorists, that they have even gone further. They are not putting roadblocks, putting their flags wherever they can. And the spate of killings that we are having now, in this year, what we've heard about the killings, I think
it seems to be intensifying. We have cases now.
The amount of the casualties we've had now, they are more than the casualties that happened between Iran and America, that almost resulted into World War III, if I'm allowed to say that. And what we've heard from the president is basically statements.
Okay, talking about the increasing cases, in Plateau State, there seems to be some sort of a resurgence, because in the last fortnight or so, we've had a couple of communities attacked, and at least as at last count, if you add the 2 attacks, it's up to 20 people that have died in Plateau State so far. We're not talking about what's happening in Borno State and the likes. And there are people who are saying that we should consider what the Southwest governors have taken up. That's the Amotekun.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Is that something that should be considered, considering it looks like, I mean, yes, you've ordered a strike. Is that enough? What more can the people do to protect themselves? And is it an option for them?
So I think there is an unnecessary, it may be necessary, I don't know, but there is a lot of noise about Amotekun, as if it's anything new in Nigeria. The North have had all kinds of police, local police, since forever. I grew up in the North. When the Agatu crisis happened in Benue State, it took the communities mobilizing themselves into some kind of vigilante to stem the attack and prevent it from reoccurring. You see, the right to life is sacrosanct. And to the extent that my life is threatened, I will do all that I need to do to prevent the aggressor. Okay? So this reaction from the South, maybe the scale of the coordination is what is making it look new. Otherwise, communities have always deferred to self-protection in Nigeria. The basic security you have, even in Lagos, are your area boys. It's not the police. And this is more a reflection of the realities that needs to happen in our land for us to have security. The government apparatus is overwhelmed. They react to issues. They react too late. They react too little. And therefore, it is incumbent upon communities to make every effort to protect themselves. And any reasonable government will support that effort.
If I may add to that, by the way, Nigerians are already protecting themselves. We are basically our own government, provide our own water. We do our own...
Absolutely.
We get rid of our own waste. We have our neighborhood security guards. Because like he has mentioned, we are not policed enough. And then there is this issue of lives and properties are no longer safe. We don't even know where this next strike will take place. So the issue of Amotekun being is causing so much olabalu, it doesn't really, it holds no water.
And particularly for the people of the Middle Belt. I grew up in Plateau State. I went to University of Jos and all that. There are communities in Plateau States that insurgents or bandits have not only settled in those communities, but have renamed those communities. And
even currently?
Currently. And there is research to support this. There are investigative journalists that have done this. It's published work. It's indisputable. This is not just a resource war like it is painted sometimes. A lifestyle, herdsman's lifestyle versus farmer lifestyle. Now the herdsmen are settling. And that's against the whole tenet of nomadism that is supposed to be the problem. So you see, unless we dimension the problem properly and we see it for what it is and we allow society to evolve those solutions on a need basis. And you see, any form of security apparatus that can work, and this is my opinion, must be set in a cultural context. How the Igbos think is fundamentally different from how a typical Plateau Langtam man thinks. And so setting up the kind of security system that can work in that environment must be linked to the culture of the place, must have some semblance of alignment with even the topography and the intelligence mechanism of that place.
But
it is time, therefore, in my opinion, for not just state policing, but for local
community policing. But there
policing.
seemed to be some sort of resistance from the federal government.
Yes.
If we're to go by the statement issued by the Attorney General, he's saying that there needs to be some sort of constitutional backing to these moves. You said it's been around for a long time. So what options are there? Because some people are describing statements by the president as mere grandstanding.
The problem with the federal government statement is that they just like grabbing, they just like to grab power. They want to just be in control of everything. Something is wrong in the country. Nigeria is not at its peaceful state. So we mustn't use the same, who defined madness as doing something else in the same way and expecting a different result. Now we must fashion out a system to curtail these occurrences. So the issue of what the Attorney General said about it not being constitutional, it's funny to me.
And I think
it's funny because we've had civilian JTF before they were merged with the Nigerian army.
Still
they
active.
Were on their own. They were hunters.
Still active.
They had uniforms. Before they were merged, they were Hisbah police, who I heard recently arrested a Nigerian police officer.
Do you think this might work better if the president, as against these statements being issued, work in collaboration with the state government to see if there is a way that community policing can be localized without necessarily making it look like, this grand scale that's being done by the region? Is it possible?
Yes. The Attorney General's statement for me, I'm sorry, I'm not a legal practitioner, but the law is set in logic. Before the act establishing the Nigerian police force, there was a natural law granting rights to life. The right to protect myself and my family with any means possible against an unfair aggressor. It's sacrosanct to human nature.
You said that. What I'm looking at is if it can be done strategically from the presidency, so that all these arguments as to
exactly. This is why our law is called the common law. It is an aggregation of what is common, culturally common. And so, if by virtue of the evolution of our society, we are beginning to find new ways of alleviating the security situation in the country, it is therefore, at this point, the responsibility of the Attorney General to say, how do I police around this effectively?
Okay, let's get
let me just say this. If he feels that what was done was not constitutional, it's very simple. Why don't you amend the Constitution? Allow this thing to happen, because it is necessary for people to be able to protect themselves. It is absolutely necessary.
All right, final thoughts in 30 seconds, because we're out of time. Okay, let's start with you.
The president of Nigeria, for a while, has been disappointing us, Nigerians, with regards to how he reacts to all these acts of aggression. His recent pronouncement to order airstrike, albeit it also has illegal implications, but it's a step in the right direction. And let's hope this will curtail, at least to a degree,
what's happening.
Yes.
Yours.
I would commend the handlers and the managers of Amotekun, and I will encourage all communities to take protection of their lives and communities seriously, to seek legislation that will legalize their approach to such self-protection. And I will caution the federal government to stop disregarding the people, to take them seriously. That is what representative democracy is about.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate your thoughts and your time on the program.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for staying with us thus far. We'll take our Plus report now, and when we return, I'll be giving my take. Do stay with us.
It was a visit expected to show solidarity with the Christian community in Adamawa State. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, described the security situation in the country as challenging, saying in the last few years, it has metamorphosed into several hydra-headed monsters.
Several years ago, we started with the issue of Boko Haram restricted to the northeast. As we were making tremendous progress with Boko Haram in the northeast, issues of banditry started in the northwest. In the north central part of the country, the issue of intense farmer herders crisis. Another dimension just unleashed itself. We were not used to the violent crime of kidnapping. In the last 1 decade, it was too alien to us, but now it has become a major security concern, and that is prevalent across the divides, across the different regions of this country. So you can see that the security challenges that is confronting us as a nation is multi-headed. You deal with one, another one erupts.
Mr. Mustafa described the death of Reverend Lawan Andimi, who was recently killed by Boko Haram terrorists, as unfortunate, expressing optimism that the group will soon be dealt with.
We thought we had gotten over and Boko Haram had been degraded. Substantially it had. But we've seen a new version with a lot of viciousness in some of the happenings. We acknowledge that. We are not totally out of the woods yet. The government is putting up a lot of things to deal decisively with that. It's a contention. There is a contention for the soul of our country. And this is where our collective resolve as a people is very, very important.
The Adamawa State CAN chairman, Bishop Stephen Mamza, while thanking the federal government for the show of love and concern, called on both Muslim and Christian faithful to do more, especially through naming and shaming crime. Bishop Mamza said this will go a long way in telling criminals there is no hiding place in God's sanctuaries.
We know the members of the Boko Haram claim to be working for Islam and on behalf of Islam. But we also know that this is not the thinking and also the belief of Muslims in Nigeria. And we also want at all the times that the Muslim community should also continue to disown such people, so that even we as Christians, if we have such people that are bringing lack of peace within the community that happen to be Christians, we also will be able to disown them. If the Muslim community are able to come together, the good Muslims and the good Christians are able to come together, we support the security, we support the government in order to bring about peace in our country, we can achieve it.
When I think about Leah Sharibu's family, words dry up in my mouth, honestly. Even if she's released today, this government has failed her. I say this with conviction because I remember President Buhari's words to her biological family on October 3rd, 2018. His words, and I quote, "I convey my emotion, the strong commitment of my administration and the solidarity of all Nigerians to you and your family, as we will do our best to bring your daughter home in peace and safety," end of quote. That was over a year ago. In my opinion, it is inexcusable that the girl remains in captivity in spite of the public outcry and continued media pressure. What can we do as ordinary citizens? I guess it's to ask and continue to ask until some answers are given. But who will respond? When the government of the day believes it is more important to reintegrate Boko Haram terrorists than to secure the freedom of those who continue to be held in captivity. On a final note, and this is to those who idolize her and make her only a mere symbol of religious grandstanding, please be reminded that she is just a girl, a young Nigerian child whom we all whom we all have failed. And that's my take tonight. Thank you for watching today's conversation. We're back again tomorrow. But until then, you can watch previous episodes on Plus TV Africa YouTube channel and share your thoughts in the comment section. Bye for now.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. Right, no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
I am under the bridge in Menday, Maryland, at the very popular Cane Village, particularly thrilled at the level of creativity being displayed in terms of the artworks here by the artisans. An array of weavers and sellers of baskets, chairs, and artistic household furniture made out of cane were all hard at work at the time of my visit to the Cane Village. The men, women, and children all seemed engrossed at their day's task. I was welcomed by the president of the Cane Weavers Association, Mr. Edward Apofure. According to Edward, the weavers and sellers were collectively relocated under this bridge in 2002. A hard miss for anyone coming from Ikeja or Ikorodu access. This is a fantastic location. How long has this Cane Village been in existence?
Well, the Cane Village has been existed for a long time ago. We rise from our forefather who founded this industry, established it for year 1974. But we came to register this industry in 1986. It was registered as National Cane Weavers Association. So we have been existed for many years. Before we came on board, we have been a roadside seller, but the government said that they don't want anything else. Anybody want to operate such thing, you must come under union and register.
From my observation, more elderly weavers were in sight as I pondered on the posterity of this age-long craft. What exactly does it take to learn this craft? How long would it take an average person to learn how to make something like this?
If you want to learn this work, one thing you need to have is that you have to have patience. This work is not something you can just carry knife and do. You go for process. You got the material which is called cane. And from there, you scrape it. After you scrape it, you tear it. After you tear it, then you now carve it. And this chair you are sitting on today now, before we work on it, we have procedure go through before you come like this. We have the framework. After the framework, before you can weave on it. So learning this work is not really a bad thing, and to know this work is not a bad thing. You know, I can tell you today now we are this business. We have many graduates in this business, and those who finish secondary school are here. Are they here? Yes, and some of them can even do this work and now making their life better by go more further their education more. So we create job opportunity. This job is helping young people who are not lazy.
I was eager to meet the university graduate who came into the business for what he described as a lack of jobs in Nigeria. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the unemployment rate bedeviling the country as of the third quarter of 2018 stood at 23.1%, hence putting the number of unemployed at 20.9 million.
I'm a graduate from University of Port Harcourt. I studied pure and industrial chemistry. I graduated the year 2010, did my NYSC in Ebonyi State, Zia Girls Secondary School in Zangbo. I left the NYSC the year 2014. So, but due to Nigeria and no job creation for we the youth, so we engage ourselves since Nigeria said that everybody should find themselves doing one or two things.
However grateful for the good gift of education, which he said was sponsored by his parents, with hopes of being employed after graduation, he fell back to this craft, which for him portends a means for better livelihood.
So I started doing it right from the year 1990. After my university, since there is no job, I have to fall back to what I know how to do best. So at least I can make money and take care of myself.
He described the various weaving techniques associated with the creation of a variety of cane-woven designs.
As you can see, this one, the cane comes from Delta State. It grows within the riverine areas. There's one that comes from Delta State, Bayelsa State, Rivers State, Edo State, Ondo State, and there are some in Lagos as well. But that in Lagos differs from the one that comes from Delta State. So, but we prefer the ones that come from Benin and Delta State. So that is where we have our suppliers from. So now this one is the cane. It's also the same cane that we use in caning kits in the school. So now for me to use this now, example, if I want to make these chairs now, like this one comprises of two materials. This one, there is the wooden part, which is the frame. Before you make the chair like this, you must make the skeleton, which is the frame, with the one I want to do. If I want to do this,
I could tell it consumed a lot of production time, which affected the ability to meet up with purchase order demands from customers. For this reason, some of the weavers have employed the use of rattan made from polyester, a more expensive but efficient material imported into the country. Macaulay, however, confirmed my assumptions.
The manual processes delays the production. So, and that's the reason why these days we are now shifting from the cane aspects to the one we call the outdoor, the rattan process, which is now the one that has been done through polyester materials. But meanwhile, it's not being done in Nigeria yet, and it's more expensive compared to that of the cane. Like if you see these two materials now, they are different. This one is the rubber one. This one is made from polyester. Then why this one is a cane. So this one is faster in production compared to this.
While the cane weaving procedure can be done in isolation of things like electricity, the rattan procedure may use an electric-powered compressor or one which makes use of fuel. But due to the inconsistent power supply in the country, weavers such as Macaulay settled for compressors which make use of fuel.
Meanwhile, in doing this, there is no how I can do this without the help of this gun and a compressor. Meanwhile, there is a stapler we put inside. Then with the help of the compressor, see, we use this to staple the rubber to it so that at least it can hold. That of the cane aspect of this craft is already weaving out due to the factor of producing it and getting of materials from the forest, And the forest where they get these canes from these days, like the people that supplies us the cane are complaining that the bush are already being burned. Now people that plant these days are now burning the cane. So before they get to the forest where they will get this cane now, it's very, very difficult for them. So now that's the reason why we try to advance into this new technology that the whites, the Americans, the Japanese, the Chinese, they are already using in their own country. And some Nigerians travel abroad and import this thing into Nigeria. If someone comes to me and said he wants this one, he wants like 15 sets of Dick's Dining within 1 week, I can boldly tell the clients that he's going to pick it up. But that of the cane, even 1 month, it won't be ready due to the process of preparing your materials, getting your frames ready. Like that of the cane, a set of cane chair, please you get it for like 150,000, 170,000. But a set of rattan chair, the least amount you can get is 250,000.
This market right here does have a high level of economic benefit for the country if issues such as financial deficit as well as a restructuring of the business can be done by the government. The weavers remain optimistic about their ability to expand and possibly export their products someday. Edward says financial aid from the government would go a long way.
The government shall now say, I want to give individual like 500,000 to start. I tell you, when you invest 500,000 for this business by a year, by the end of the year, you will make a return of even 300,000 on top of that 500, even $1 million. Because during December time, the period of December, when many couples want to do outpass gift, they come here to have a demand of basket, meaning even when you do not have money, you can never meet up there because they will come, they will demand more than you don't even have. So, but you don't have money to do this Dana, you cannot get it. But at that time, the price will even favor you because that time the price will wait up because there will much demand that time. So if the government help us, we give us money, we do this business, we keep them toward December time, we bring them for sale. You know, when you borrow money for back, maybe some all these back microfinance now, you borrow today, tomorrow they are coming to collect the money from you. And this our business does not go like that. You see, we do the business, you give us money, you give us time to work with that money. So by the time maybe 7 months, 8 months, we started to pay. You know, so we have produced something that by the time we carry the market or where we want to sell, return that money back will not be a problem at all. But when you give me money today, tomorrow you are coming to, you are trying to kill the business man. You are not making my business to this. We are not buying and selling. It's not this buying and selling this thing. So it's something you produce before you can sell.
For Edward, financial aid from the government and a restructuring of their current location to take on a more tourist look would improve the shortfall in supply as well as make them more competitive in the global market, hence giving way to export.
Like this place we come to now, government can come to this place and turn it to tourist center as cane industry. So whereby they build a good structure and whereby people come and make their daily bread, whereby government can get sort of out of it. It's the looks of this our work now. You have to finish there to export them. It's another problem because we don't have the financial background to carry this work outside for people to buy. We only look at this rata work now. Before we don't know how to do them, but now we are now named them and we know how to do them. So all those things that they are going for abroad for, we have them. We have the knowledge, the people who are so intelligent to do this craft work here in Nigeria, in this cane industry. It's just what the government should come and ask us, how can we do it? And we tell them the other side of it, where we need their help.
Macaulay was gracious enough to take me around the cane village on a tour.
This is dining for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 chairs. There's going to be a glass of 10 mm on it, which is this. This is a glass. This glass will be on it. If I'm to produce this one now, to do this one alone, it's going to take me about 1 week. to produce just one of these. But if I'm to do it in the rattan, it's going to take me maximum of 2 days. I'm done with it. This one cannot withstand the outdoor. It's not something that can withstand rain. And that one can withstand rain. This one is made with raffia. We'll call this one raffia. This material is short. This material, we get this material from Cotonou. Something like this one now is about 2,000.
And how long would it take you to make it?
This one takes about 1 hour. So that's the reason why during the Xmas period, people don't even do chairs.
Amazing, amazing items. I certainly had fun here, and I did get myself some take home as well. For Plus TV Africa, I am Irene Ubani.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
We are not yet at a point where a lawyer like Fashola should be the Minister of Housing. We are not there yet.
But what about the social implications that are much more than an architect?
Even if we get a 3-digit number, will our computers work?
There is no hope. Let's not deceive us.
But doesn't mean that there isn't hope, because I believe so well that there is hope.
Oh, you must be with one woman. You must be with, these are Igbo ways. African
as your wife is in on it, we have no problem.
Different.
We have that value system that we got from our royal days and everything. That gives us a sense of identity.
My question is, who is the we?
Which part?
That's going to allow for an Igbo presidency in 2023? Because I mean, it is not you and I.
If we want to have the last presidency based on rotation,
yes, then
we
needs
better
to
just
be
go
an
to the
Igbo
southeast,
presidency.
finish with him,
presidency.
and then say the post is now open.
Mona Lisa is all about me. It's all about you. It's all about our stories. The stories that never get told, but ought to.
Whereby water transportation does not make financial sense, it makes economic sense.
I was there for 2.5 hours on the floor. Nobody attended to me.
If we don't take care of the poor will take care of us.
It's about getting at the root of things and hearing from the horse's mouth.
We are 15 public hospitals to make them affordable.
In the whole of Africa, we are bigger. You know, Nigeria, we sleep, eat, dream, fashion.
Those with the financial backing don't see fashion as an investment, which makes no sense.
If they do it for free, they won't have money for the next case.
Mona Lisa is about real life and real lives, yours and mine. Make a date with Mona Lisa, and together, let's ensure that the important stories get told.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. Right, no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no?
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, wait,
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event
on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Hello and many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are some of the stories making the headlines. 5 more deaths have been confirmed in Taraba and Kano states, and cases of the infection are also increasing. In Taraba State, Commissioner for Health Innocent Vakai disclosed that 4 local government areas are affected, and they are Bali, Adokola, Kasol, Jalingo. He said those who had contact with the victims have been moved to a Lassa treatment center in Jalingo. In Kaduna State, the family of the victim and about 10 other persons are being monitored closely. The Ministry of Environment has tasked Nigerians to join the campaign against Lassa fever by ensuring their environment and surroundings remain clean. The Minister Mohammed, while speaking to newsmen in Abuja, blames the ongoing epidemic, which has claimed about 29 lives across 11 states of the Federation, to poor sanitary hygiene management. Our correspondent Idong Joseph tells us more.
The current outbreak of Lassa fever across the nation has already claimed several lives. According to the Ministry of Environment, 11 states have witnessed the epidemic with a fear that it will spread to more states of the nation. The ministry says it is doing all it can with the National Center for Disease Control to contain the virus. The Minister of Environment, Muhammad Mahmood, while blaming the spread of the virus to lack of proper hygiene, says it is high time the public make efforts to improve public health and sanitation.
Citizens are advised to imbibe good sanitation and hygiene practices and take preventive and control measures that include 1. Keeping the environment clean to avoid contact with rodents. 2. Keeping food away from rodents. 3. Storing grains and other foodstuff in rodent-proof containers.
Mr. Mahmood says the federal government will not relent in its effort to continue educating the public on the benefit of proper hygiene management and also intensify its effort through proper cooperation among stakeholders.
The ministry is putting in place environmental health and sanitation surveillance system. This surveillance system will strengthen the cooperation between state and federal government on environmental health and sanitation issues. It will also help in information data gathering and sharing between federal, state, and local governments.
Some of the stakeholders believe the fight against Lassa fever should be a collaborative effort and urge the public to live up to their responsibilities.
The government will not come and flog an individual in his house to clean up his house. So the quicker the Nigerian community, all of us, keep our environment clean, take the issues of personal hygiene seriously, the quicker we're able to contain the epidemic.
Idong Joseph.
The phenomenon of leadership and good governance has assumed greater interest in Africa. Since the return of democratic government in Nigeria, the need for good governance and national development have been of great concern to many Nigerians. Tunde Afa, a leadership expert and former gubernatorial candidate, spoke with Plus TV Africa on the challenges of leadership and governance in the country.
I like to look at it this way. Do we really have a leadership style in Nigeria? To ask. You know, because if you look at how our leaders have been selected over time, it has always been people focusing more on which section of the country is going to provide the next president. And until we depart from that, we are not likely to witness development in Nigeria. For example, you know, the clamor for the next president now is on. Now people are saying the next president has to come from the southern part of the country without looking at, competence, looking at the ability of the leader to deliver, Not looking at, okay, does this leader understand the problems we have in Nigeria? So until we depart from that, what if we now find somebody from the southern part of the country and he doesn't have, or he or she does not have the capacity and the ability to deliver? So we have to depart from that. We have to focus more on competence. We have to focus more on the leader's ability to deliver.
Before you go any further, because I'm going to ask you, you know, your suggestions on what solutions do you prefer. I know that you were once a gubernatorial candidate in Ekiti State.
Yes.
Now, what do you point out as the defects in selecting political leaders? You know, for instance, even your own experience during your time.
The defect is, you know, I just said that, you know, until we depart from focusing more on which part of the country we produce, you know, the leader,
quality of leaders.
Until we depart from that, we are not likely, you know, to have good, and that has been a major defect. Until we address that, Nigeria is one, so we should focus more on the capacity, the ability, and then the character of the leader to deliver good governance. Once we focus on that, we will start to witness rapid development.
No, Nigeria, some people have said Africa generally, and of course by extension Nigeria has been plagued by some kind of leadership that is not working. Now, is the problem the leadership style, or is the system that we adopt here as a people, as a country?
Yeah, it is both. You know, what is leadership? I normally like to define leadership as going the way and showing the way. Now,
going the way. Let's even hear it. Going the way.
Going the way and then showing the way. Now, you cannot take people to where you have never been. For example, if you have never been to, let's say, Ikeja, then how do you take a group of people from VI to Ikeja?
How do we direct them?
How do we direct them? How do we lead them? So leadership has to do with going the way and then leading the way. And then you now look at the system. It is the leadership that creates systems. Once we have good leadership, we're going to have good systems created. And once we have systems, you know, we can say, okay, if this person becomes the president or the governor, because of the systems, you know, the things that governance will be about is already stated. Because we have a systems now, we have systems in place now, whoever becomes governor or president will deliver. The systems will force them to deliver.
We have also seen that there are some good leaders. We can't.
People will not enjoy intentions. Intentions will not solve the problems of the welfare of people. Intentions will not solve the problem of security. Now, you now need good systems in place to help you now translate your intentions into reality. So until we have good systems, we won't be able to translate intentions into, and until we have good leadership, we will not be able to create the right systems.
Okay, we're already in 2020. There's so much talked about 2020. What do you think our present leaders need to put in place now to enhance good governance moving forward?
Well, you know, leadership is all about having a vision. You understand? For example, I normally ask, what is our vision in Nigeria? Where are we going to? For me, I don't see a vision for Nigeria.
Even the Vision 2020 talked about?
No. You see, the Vision 2020 talked about is not really a vision. A vision will be, for example, we know what Israel is all about. We know what the United States of America is all about. What is Nigeria all about? To me, what Nigeria should be all about is stated in our constitution. And it says that the primary responsibility of governance, or anybody that comes into governance, should be the welfare and the security of the people. We can turn that into our vision. That will mean that now there is a serious security problem in Nigeria. And, you know, people are saying Nigeria is too large to secure. That's not right. Now, there are countries larger than Nigeria that are being secured through the use of technology. For example, Canada is about 11 times the size of Nigeria. And in Canada, they use drones, you know, drones to secure, 1,000, feet apart. You can use drones to secure the places. So why don't we adopt that? so that we can solve this problem of security in Nigeria once and for all. So if government focuses on that, I think that we will be able to give them a pass mark.
The Redeemed Christian Church of God organized its 2020 Inspiration Conference themed Galvanizing for Growth, which brought together industry leaders such as the Vice President of Nigeria, President of African Development Bank, former Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, who spoke to attendees about the ingredients of success.
Without honesty, fairness, and integrity, it's not geometric success, but geometric failure. To succeed, you need a plan. But then you must act. Words don't lead to success. You cannot swim to the shore if you don't want to get wet.
The men must position themselves to be able to deliver value. If you are not delivering any value, I'm sorry, but there's very limited scope for growth, talk less of geometric growth. Okay? Therefore, you must seek to position yourself as a provider of some solution. If there's a problem that you're providing solution for, you will experience success. You will experience, growth.
The man is more important than the mission or what he's doing. It's important to invest in yourself. Whether it's from a spiritual dimension of being a person of character, a person of diligence, it's impossible for such an investment not to pay off. It's impossible. There's no way a man can have integrity, have character, and God in all his faithfulness. Despite how popular it is to say Nigeria is useless, nothing works, it would work for you. If you are doing the right thing, time becomes your friend. You will find that most good things happen over time. But that's when time is compounded in your favor. What the bankers call the power of compound interest. So it's important to make time work for you.
Everybody has been through one challenge or the other. And that if you persevere and you trust God, you work hard, you will be fine.
It's the beginning of another decade. It's the beginning of a new year. So we thought it was important to be able to prepare the men, our people, for what's in stock for the new year, how to be able to make them to tap the opportunities and all the various issues. So we had to bring those who are policymakers and then those who are involved in some of the operational issues so that they could see the opportunities and then have a place for interactions also.
The news will continue after the short break. Stay with us. Two charity vessels that have rescued 484 migrants over the past days on Monday waited to bring their passengers ashore to Italy or Malta. The Ocean Viking, run by SOS Mediterranean, has picked up 407 people over 5 rescue operations since Friday. Among them, there are 152 minors, including 10 under the age of 5 and 12 pregnant women. In a statement, the charity said it had asked both Italian and Maltese authorities to offer a safe port for the arrival of the migrants. A further 77 migrants are on board the Alan Cuddy, operated by German charity CI. CI spokesman said Malta has refused to take in the Alan Cuddy, saying it is already overrun with migrants, while Italy has not yet responded. 2 Algerian military pilots have been killed in a military plane crash in Algeria's El Bourgui province, 500 kilometers east of Algiers. Algerian president tweeted earlier on Tuesday confirming the death of the 2 pilots and stating that the plane is a trainer aircraft. No immediate confirmation on the reason of the crash was available. Up next is our foreign news. The death toll from the new coronavirus now stands at 106, so the number of infections almost doubling in a day to more than 4,500. The rise comes as government scrambles to control the spread of the virus. Hong Kong is going to slash cross-border travel with mainland China. Meanwhile, Japan is sending a plane to Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, to evacuate its citizens. The virus has spread across China and to at least 16 countries globally. Wuhan, as well as wider Hubei province, are already effectively in a lockdown with strict transport restrictions in and out of the area. Wearing masks in public is now mandatory in some Chinese cities. Coming up next is our business news. At the recently concluded Inspiration Conference, which focused on the way forward for Nigeria as it prepares to compete alongside global economies, the Vice President and the President of the African Development Bank both spoke about Nigeria's potential and what we stand to gain with the AFCFTA.
The size of business to business, consumer to consumer expenditures will rise to $5.6 trillion in the next months.
Tremendous opportunity. Now, in the first place, already quite a few Nigerian businesses we're going to be exporting a lot of our products to different parts of Africa, coming up with now. And those products are well packaged and they are, in many cases, world class. So I think that the first thing to do
Nigerian singer Burna Boy has reacted to singer Angelique Kidjo winning the Grammy Award for Best World Music for her album Celia. The African giant crooner took to his social media page to congratulate the legendary singer on her win. Kidjo, while accepting her award, took the time to praise the wealth of new talent coming from the continent. That's it on entertainment. Sports news comes on after this break.
First point of accountability is asking questions.
Hello and welcome to Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Hi everyone, welcome to Plus Training.
You cannot continue to recycle poverty while you're spending a lot of money on unproductive ventures.
The government has to feel the impact.
Honorable Commissioner, sir, welcome to the show.
And in sports, defending champion Novak Djokovic defeated former world number 3 Milos Raonic in 3 straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, 7-6, to set up a semi-final match against 20-time Grand Slam champion Roger Federer for his spot in the final. And Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer have met 49 times, with Djokovic leading 26-23. And Djokovic is chasing a record-extending 8th Australian Open title, and a win for him against Federer and a possible final on Sunday will make him only the 3rd man to win a Grand Slam event on 8 occasions, alongside 12th-time Roland Garros champion Rafael Nadal and 8th-time Wimbledon champion Roger Federer. Still in sports, Inter Milan have completed the signing of Christian Eriksen from Tottenham Hotspur for a fee of around £16.9 million. The Denmark midfielder signed a contract until the 30th of June 2024. And after his move to Spain did not materialize, the 27-year-old began the season with the Spurs and played 28 times in all competitions this season. In his final appearance being the league win against Norwich last week. And Inter currently sits second in the Serie A, 3 points behind leaders Juventus. And that's it on Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I'm Udoka Njoko.
Thank you, Udoka. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do please join us again. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways.
These girls are being trafficked. Most times they are told that they're going there to work.
Absolutely.
Without even knowing who they're going to meet.
Absolutely. Polygamy is causing poverty, backwardness in the north. I think we should put a law. Have just one child. Working with a lot of tradesmen in Nigeria, I mean, my first few years was kind of hard, but he who pays the piper takes the tune.
The type of architecture you see in New York, you see 60, 80-story buildings, is because they have a strong economy.
What has been your biggest challenge? Availability of like machines, materials. You know, we're very, very limited in what we have.
Somebody says, oh, why am I putting in so much reinforcement? I can do it cheaper. I know the last project I did, there was no problem. You just need one bad mistake, you know, and the implication is life.
It gets better, ordered another round. It gets better, ordered another round. It gets
I'm sure, as you can imagine, I get many. On a daily basis, I probably haven't been use those resources to sign artists, but education for me is so powerful. I would not be here, fact, whether or not, you know, anyone can argue, I would not be here if not for my education.
Nowhere, baby, we no tire. And baby, for the line,
Olajumoke Adenowor is a renowned architect, entrepreneur, radio host, and philanthropist. She is the founder and principal partner of the Elite AD Consulting at Spain. She began her career as an architect in Tao Rikoka Associates and moved to Femi Majikudumi Associates, founder of Awesome Treasures Foundation.
If we don't take care of the poor will take care of us.
It's about getting at the root of things and hearing from the horse's mouth.
That's a cat with all the cream. So in what world does anyone ever leave that sort of job? Well, in this world. Not Your 9 to 5 show covers all the seemingly questions and intrigues.
I can't work for anybody. Number of times I spent with shoes, I still choose them.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. No question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no?
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Yes, you should know why.
Catch you.
No, you should know why.
I don't know why.
I think they will mean
I also know why she's on your mind.
All right, so hi, Nimi Dekombe. Hello, Elsie Godwin.
Elsie.
Elsie. Elsie Goldwyn.
Elsie.
Elsie.
Oh, goodness. Okay, let's just
Elsie.
move on. In peace.
Elsie. Elsie.
Twitter fans are blasting Kim Kardashian. Is it Twitter now or Instagram? I don't know. But yeah, for promoting her new fragrance hours after mourning Kobe Bryant's demise. So
I like the way you sighed, because people are just, I mean, I get where they're coming from. It's no. I mean, I get it. They are being emotional. They feel like she probably has a personal relationship with Kobe to an extent to at least hold of some things, even if it's just for 48 hours or so. But life goes on, fam.
Exactly.
You need to. If you didn't learn anything yesterday and day before yesterday, at least from this story, you have to learn something. Understand that life goes on. What you have is now and yourself. Enjoy it, because if you're gone tomorrow, in fact, if you're gone in the next minute, everybody, even if you don't want to move on, at some point,
she probably wouldn't even have the next minute to advertise that a fragrance.
Thank you.
And when is this time for her to?
And this is a fragrance that's coming out for Valentine's. So I mean, she has less than 2 weeks. You know,
I feel like people are just once again in their feelings. I understand. We just lost Kobe. But business, because I went through the comment section, and some people were like, business is business. You cannot say that a businesswoman should put her business on hold.
Okay, before you carry on that thought, and before Ife comes in, let's go on a very quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hello, beautiful people. I go by the name Black Bassi, and I am an actor and a musician.
The type of architecture you see in New York, you see 60, 80-story buildings, is because they have a strong economy.
What has been your biggest challenge? Availability of like machines, materials,